Okay, hello, Trucking Office Live. I'm Alan Campbell with Trucking Office, and we're doing this live broadcast every day to show how the system makes it easier to track all the stuff that we don't like about trucking. All of the tracking the loads, tracking the paperwork, handling the invoices, expenses, all that kind of stuff. We've all heard over and over again that the 8 out of 10 businesses don't make it. And I think that is just generally true of most businesses. In the trucking world, a lot of guys don't make it because they don't understand their numbers very well. So what we find is that one of the biggest differences between those that make it and those that don't make it is the systems they use. You have to have a system and a method of doing things that makes it easier and gives you the numbers that you need so that you can make the right decisions out there when you're booking freight and running lanes and doing all the things that you do. So I have the software already open. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And like I said, we're just checking in every day on the trucking company. We have a mock company, and we'll demonstrate how the flow works. So basically, where we're at today is we have one truck that's on its way to California, picked up in Ohio a couple of days ago on the 26th, and is looking to deliver on Monday the 2nd. So that truck is in transit. Easy to just see it on our list. If we haven't heard from that driver, maybe we could check with them, make sure everything's on track with that. And then we have another truck that is running more regional, shorter load from Chicago to Akron, Ohio. So the load is going from Chicago to Akron. That picked up yesterday in Chicago, and that should be delivering today in Akron. And we're just going to say that that load is already delivered. So what will happen next is he'll need to, so after he delivers in Akron, what will he need to do next? Now, the load he did before this, now we can search just for this driver. Since this driver is doing his thing, let's just see what Smith is doing. If you just click on his name like that, it'll sort out only his loads. Now, this one's highlighted in green because it delivers today. Right here, we see the key, the reminder there. The green, the ones that are highlighted in green are ones that are delivering today. So we know to check and make sure that delivery is going okay. But if we look at this driver's history, we can see that he went from Canton, Ohio to Chicago. Then he went from Chicago back to Akron. And we're going to just imagine that he is on a dedicated run, and he's just going to do that run over and over again. So I'm going to show you today how to clone that load. So what we're doing is he delivered here in Akron. Now he's going to go pick this load up in Canton to go back to Chicago again. The one he did a couple of days ago, we already invoiced this load yesterday. If we go over here and look at this in the load section, we will see the same thing. And we can do the same thing with sorting too. We can sort by the driver. And now I'm in the load section, not the trip. So these are loads that are already in the system and in process. So this one that he did yesterday from Canton to Chicago was delivered, and we already invoiced it. But now what we're going to do is he's going to go pick up another one of these and do the same run again, just as if he's on like a dedicated lane or something. So over here on the right, we have a clone button. So we'll just hit that clone button, and then what happens is that will clone all of that load information. So he says here at the top, so it'll be the same customer. This one had 2 shippers. It picked up at this shipper in Canton, Ohio, and it also picked up at another shipper in Akron, Ohio. And then, but this time we're going to change the dates, right? So instead of picking up on the 27th, it's going to pick up today on the 29th. And then we'll change pickup number 2. He's going to get both pickups in today on the 29th. Now, I know 2 pickups in one day with some shippers is hard, but we're just going to imagine that these ones are in and out type of places. And then because he's picking up today, we'll say he's going to deliver tomorrow, Friday, the 30th. We'll say he'll go ahead and get that in and get over there. It's about, after he's loaded and everything, it's about a 400-mile drive to Chicago. So we're going to say he can make that by tomorrow. And that's all you have to do. We're going to do it for the same rate. We did it for $1,200, which is probably more than a real rate, but we're just playing with some numbers here. And so that's all you have to do. Then it's all cloned. We already have everything entered. We don't even have to go over all that again. And then we'll save it. Now, when we save this, we're back over here in a load planner as a planned load. So now this load hasn't been dispatched yet. It just saved the information, where it's picking up, where it's going to, what the rate is, and that's basically it. So the next thing we'll need to do is dispatch this load, and we'll dispatch it by adding it to a trip. And so we'll just click this one right here. There's a couple different ways to do this, but this time we're just going to do it this way. So you can see down here is our load information. Again, same stuff, picking up in Canton, going to Chicago. I got a fake BOL number in there for the bill of lading. This is pre-checked because of the way we just went from the load planner. Now we need to dispatch it by assigning it to a trip, and this was John Smith that was hauling this one. We already know the truck that he drives because it's already been assigned to him. If we need to change the truck, now would be the time to do it, but most guys drive the same trucks. I know there's some slip seat operations out there, but most guys get assigned a truck, and that's what they're driving. So the system already knows where that's at. The previous location is going to be Akron, so it'll pick up deadhead miles from Akron, Ohio down to Canton, Ohio. That'll all work out. We'll pick up the empty miles, the loaded miles, and then we do have some options to add in some expenses, but we're not going to do that at this time. We're just going to save the trip and just dispatch them. So now this says that we got an error because the trip needs clarification. And then it says we want to make sure the stops are ordered the way we want it. So the reason for that is we have two pickups on the same day. We have one in Canton and one in Akron, and the system has no way to know which one's really first. So in this case, it defaulted the way we want it. We're going to pick up an Akron first and then go, or Canton first and then go to Akron. We could do it the other way around. Actually, since he's delivering in Akron, and maybe it might make more sense to pick up the Akron one first. So let's go ahead and do that. So this one for Akron, we're going to move that up to the top, and that just switched the order. So now it's going to pick up in Akron first, then go to Canton and pick up the other half of the load, and then we'll head on out to Chicago. Actually, as I'm talking about it, that makes more sense. So we'll just do it that way, and then we'll save it. And the reason for that is just to make sure it picks up the miles correctly. Because after it saves the trip, now it says that it was created successfully. If we skip over this stuff and scroll down, you'll be able to see the miles by state. Every time we save a trip, we're running those miles. These miles are all coming from PC Miler set on Practical Miles truck route. So, and then they're broken down by state. We use those numbers for IFTA reports, revenue per mile reports, all that kind of stuff. Down here at the bottom, you can see the route. We were emptied out in Akron, then we went to Akron still, then we went to Canton, then Chicago. So that'll be the route for this trip. Back here in the top section, this was the load information. That's why I'm skipping over it, I guess. Invoice information. We know how much the load pays. Then we're coming up here to, we see the profit and loss section, revenue on the load, profit on the load. We don't have any expenses in there yet, or driver pay or anything like that. So that stuff will all be calculated later. Okay. Just the basic information on the trip. So then at this point, we're all done with this. So we're going to just go back to the trips list, and then we'll see that John Smith is delivering this one today, which he should be empty by now. Then he's going to be on his way to load this one, and this one's highlighted in yellow because it delivers in the future. It will deliver tomorrow. And then we have the other driver that's on his way to LA, Los Angeles. So from Ohio to Los Angeles. He'll deliver that on Monday, so we'll update that one on Monday. So let's take a look at this load that he delivered today. Let's say he's all done with that, and when he gets all done with that, he can use his ELD app and take a picture of the bill of lading, and as soon as he takes a picture of the bill of lading and hits the update button, that information will all show up right here in our system. So then when we're looking at that information in our system, we can just go ahead and invoice that load out. So I just flipped over here to the load section, just looking at it over here. Basically, we can click on the load like this. Then we're looking at the load right here. We can click on create invoice. It'll take us right to the invoice creation form. It assigns a system invoice number. You can use a custom one if you want, but there's no really good reason to just use the invoice number that's pre-generated. It's much easier. There's a remit to section right here, like that would be for using like a factoring company or something like that. If you want to do that, you could put this in at this point. I'm going to say in this case we're not using that. So we have one load available. It's already checked. This is the load that's selected that'll be on the invoice. So I'm just going to simply create the invoice. It's that, it's just that easy. And you have an invoice that's ready to go. Okay. There we go. It updated. My Chrome was hanging up there for a minute. Hopefully the video was okay. But anyways, yeah, then you're done. So then that creates the invoice and we're all set. Now at this point, if we want to, we could send the invoice via email. We could, download it as a PDF. We could print it out. We could send it an old-fashioned way in the mail or whatever we need to do with it. But most people are sending them via email nowadays. You can send via email, and then you have the ability to, send it to them. You can pick which one you want, and then you can also attach a file. So that's where you would attach the bill of lading to it, and then it would go right with the invoice. And also the rate con. If you have a rate con, you can attach that too. These are things that we would have already uploaded, and then when we're ready to send it via email, we go ahead and send it off. Okay, so then we got that part done. So then we're back here on trips, and then this one can't be deleted now because it's already been invoiced. So it's just the easy way to see what you've got invoiced and what you don't, right? So there we go. So we're all set with that load for now. We've sent off the invoice. If we look at the list of invoices, we can see what's been going out here. The past, we made one yesterday. Now we're making another one today. So we'll keep that going. Expenses for the trip. We could add in some expenses. Anytime we run the truck, we're running expenses, right? So let's see, what could we add in? Let's add an expense like this. And we were working on actually, I think it's truck number 2. Yeah, truck number 2 is the Mack that's being driven by John Smith. So if we want to add expenses for that trip, we can then add the expense like this. And then what are the categories? Well, there's a few preset ones, like fuel is preset and reefer fuel is preset, but these other ones, you can create these to be anything you want. And you might get some advice from maybe your tax preparer, and you can maybe make your categories match what you're going to use on your taxes. Everybody does these kind of things a little bit different, but we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to say between Chicago, Illinois, and going to Akron, Ohio, where there's a toll road in between there, Indiana toll road. There's a couple toll roads. You might have paid some tolls in Chicago. You might have paid tolls in Ohio too, but we're just using an example. So we'll say yesterday on the 28th, last night while he was driving across here, I don't remember what the tolls are going across there. If somebody's watching the video and the tolls on Interstate 80 going across Indiana, put it in the comments for me and I can update it next time we do one of these. But I think in Ohio, the tolls are like $75 maybe. Indiana is probably 50. I'm just going to say 50. We'll say Indiana tolls. And then the unit number would be truck number 2, the Mack truck, the one we were just talking about. And then we're going to go ahead and assign it to a trip. And then now it says we found multiple trips, so we need to pick one. And I know these 2 trips are in there on that day because one picks up and one delivered. So I'm going to pick trip number 1028. And then we will create the expense. Okay, so then that's going to show right here on the 28th. The toll was created. Indiana tolls, $50. And we can do the same thing to add in for Ohio tolls if we want to. We can just change the category for tolls. We can change the date to yesterday. We'll say 75 for Ohio. It's probably more than that. I don't know. Tolls for Ohio. Whoops. We'll say unit number 2 again. Let's go ahead and add it to the trip. Same thing. It's finding more than one trip on the same day. So you got to pick one. So we're going to pick that one, 1028, create the expense. Now we just took like 5 minutes. We created 2 expenses for the trip. If we go back to that trip now, which you can click on it right from here if you want to, and you can go look at this trip. This is the trip that's already invoiced. You can see that right here, real easy. Now when you scroll down to the profit and loss, you have driver pay is $600. You have tolls, $75, and tolls $50. Total expenses, 731. Now we didn't enter in any fuel. Let's enter some fuel for this trip. Let's scroll down here to the bottom and say, oh, we forgot to add fuel. Okay, so what we'll need to do then to add that from here is we'll say edit this trip. We'll click here to edit. Then when we're editing, we'll just scroll down here to the bottom and truck expenses. There's 2 truck expenses, but this time what we're looking for is fuel expenses. So we're going to add in a fuel expense, and we'll say that we did this on the 28th, and we'll say we bought, I don't know, we'll say we bought $600 worth of fuel. Description, I don't really need a description right now. We'll say that's about 225 gallons of fuel. We can put in the odometer if we want to. We probably ought to. I'm just making up a number, obviously. The fuel vendor, I think we have Flying J in here. Flying J from Toledo, Ohio. And then we confirm what state that we bought the fuel in. Sometimes you might pick that Flying J just to generically say Flying J, but you might actually be in Indiana or in Illinois or whatever. So you can pick a different state. You can either, sometimes this will match, but it doesn't have to match. You can pick whatever state you're actually in. But whatever you pick here for this state, for this individual state selection, that's the state that the gallons will be reported on for your IFTA reports. Okay. So then we're just going to pick that like that, and then we'll come down here and save the update on the trip. And then we need route clarification again because we're saving the same information from the trip. And yesterday we did the load on the 28th. We did the load from Canton first and Akron second. So I'm just going to leave that like that and then save it. Okay, so that's saved. Now we scroll down and we look at that section we were working on with the profit and loss. We have the profit, or we have the revenue, and then we have the driver pay, the tolls, and then the fuel also. So now we're at total expenses of $1,331, the load pay $1,200, we're losing $131. So pretty sure we're a little high on our expenses with this one. So I'm just using fake numbers, but you get the idea of how this thing works. I mean, I have driver making 45 cents a mile, I have fuel of $600, which is more fuel than we probably need for this trip. So maybe on the next trip, maybe we don't buy any fuel. Maybe that's enough to go out and back. Or maybe, there's a lot of different variables here, but I'm just demonstrating how this all works and where you can see it. And then since we put that expense in, if we go back to expenses, we also see that expense right here. The fuel on trip 1028 for truck number 2 shows up right here as well. So everything's accounted for in each area of the app. So anyways, that's a pretty good look at what we need to do for today. If we go back to the trips, I think everything's updated. Basically, we had John Smith delivered a load today, picked up another one. We created the invoice. We added in some expenses. We can go back to the dashboard and we can look at the company overview report. And then that will update with the new information. Okay, so we're looking at October. Revenues updated. We're up to 3 loads now. Total miles driven. Revenue per mile. Right now we're averaging $1.64, which isn't very good based on what I see in the market right now. It seems like average rates are much higher than that. But again, these are all just fake numbers that I'm putting in just off the cuff here. So this will show profit per mile, profit per loaded mile, and then as time goes, we can keep updated stats, and then we can look at how those numbers are doing compared to last month or 6 months ago or last year. You can change the dates on this report to compare what the last 2 years have looked like. If you want to, once you start saving up all your stats in here, you can really see how they're changing or growing. Are you doing better? Are you doing worse? And that's where the real benefit comes in of using a system like this, because then it's not just a simply like creating an invoice can be a real hassle, and making sure invoices get paid is also a real hassle. But the real benefit, and so the system obviously makes those tasks really easy, but what I'm trying to say is the real benefit is when you see these numbers later on, and you can analyze these numbers and see which way you're trending and see which way things are going for your business, and make sure things are going in the right direction all the time. Too, we're coming up on the end of the year. When you go to do taxes, you don't have to think about these things. There's a tax report, profit and loss report. When it comes time to pay drivers, we'll do a driver settlement. We'll do that a different day. IFTA reports, fuel reports, customer reports, who's doing the most, who's giving you the most business, how do you get more business from those customers. We can talk about those things maybe another day, but just kind of showing you that some of this stuff is there for you to look at. So even if you're an owner operator or if you're a fleet builder, some of these reports are very handy. Especially if you're an owner operator, you don't want to go back through trying to figure all this stuff out after the fact. I mean, we all have better things to do than sit around worrying about adding everything up for IFTA or adding everything up for the tax people or whatever. This makes a real simple report you can give your tax person, makes it simple. All right, well, I think we're good for our updates for today. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you are not using Trucking Office software yet, I would really encourage you to get our free trial. We do a free trial of the software, and all you have to do is go to truckingoffice.com. There's a button right at the top of the page that says free trial. Go ahead and sign up for that. And then after you sign up for the free trial, you'll get a video series that has training on it. We'll send you invoice training videos and how to do every step of the app. So you'll get that. You'll get some videos from me where I talk about different parts of managing the business and a few of the backstories on how things were going when we originally designed the system. We've been in business for over 10 years. We're not somebody that's coming and going. With thousands of truckers that are using the system right now, and so I know that it helps a lot of people run a really smooth operation. We have customers that have been with us for years and years that rely on the system to use to manage their business. So if you have any questions, throw them right here in the comments on the video, wherever you've seen this video at. Throw your questions in here. If you have questions for me, go ahead and ping me, and I'll answer everything the best I can. But in the meantime, if you're not using the software yet for your business, go ahead and get the free trial and check it out for yourself. We designed this software to be easy to use. You don't have to be a computer guru to do it. This is all just simple stuff that any trucker should be able to do. All the terminology is laid out just like a bill of lading. If you know how to read a bill of lading, you'll be able to use this system really easy, and it'll be great for you. The other thing that was really important to us when we built the system is that it'll be affordable. I always felt like all the mega fleets got all the real advantage. It's like, they got discounts on tires and discounts on everything, fuel. And it just seemed like I was overwhelmed with trying to keep up with the mega fleets. And, so mega fleets have software like this, and they have systems, and they know their numbers, and they study this stuff. And so this is a way that we wanted to make it affordable so that every owner operator out there and every fleet builder out there would be able to have a system like this too, that they could use and be able to make the same decisions and be able to understand how to manage their business better. So that's our mission in life. It's very affordable. Everyone can afford it. Everyone can use it. If you're not doing the free trial yet, if you're not using the software yet, then get the free trial. You don't have to put in a credit card or anything. Just sign up for it and check it out for yourself. I'll check back in tomorrow. We're going to get on here every day and just do a little update to the trucking company like we did today. We spend 15 or 20 minutes, just doing some updates, and that's what it takes to manage your business. You can do this from your laptop and your truck. If you have somebody at home that's dispatching or running the back end of things, the back end of the business, and you got some guys, and maybe a couple guys out there running trucks, this works great as far as keeping everybody on the same page. Or if you're doing everything yourself, it's real easy to do. It doesn't take a long time. So with that, we'll wrap it up for today, and we'll check in tomorrow.